There's a storm brewing at Mercedes, as Lewis Hamilton faces talks of an early exit, with just 3 races and a sprint left in the season. After the heartbreaking Grand Prix where he clinched his first championship back in 2008, it seems the 7-time world champion has had enough. The growing tension between him and the team has become too much to ignore. However, Mercedes isn't letting him walk away without a fight. Their response has been strong, making it clear that his departure won't be so straightforward. This situation leaves fans wondering, how will things really end between Hamilton and Mercedes? Could it all come crashing down with hard feelings? On both sides, Hamilton's latest race in Brazil was among the toughest of his career. While he managed to scrape a single point, it was far from the weekend he had hoped for. Early on, Russell looked strong at the front. Before rain, safety cars, and multiple red flags turned the race upside down. Starting from 7th on the grid, expectations for Hamilton were already low, as he found himself battling mid-pack against drivers like Lawson and others. Speaking about the car after the race, Hamilton didn't hold back. He described it as the worst machine he's ever had to drive. In his words, it felt like a piece of wood. No suspension, bouncing all over the place, and no chance to properly apply the power, especially through corners. The frustration in his voice was clear. He admitted that at least one of their cars was performing decently, but for him it was simply undrivable. Mercedes engineers have been working hard to figure out why there's such a big gap in performance between Hamilton and Russell. Trackside engineer Andrew Shovlin shared that the team is now focusing heavily on Hamilton's side of the garage to uncover the hidden issues causing his struggles. It's not acceptable for one car to fight for wins while the other barely scrapes into the points. Still, tensions grew even stronger after Hamilton made some pointed comments, comparing his car to the legendary MP44 he drove recently. And not in a flattering way. After getting a chance to drive Senna's legendary MP44 at Interlagos, Hamilton openly said he would rather race that car than continue struggling with his current Mercedes. While some viewed this as disrespectful toward the engineers back at the factory, it reflected just how tough things have been for him lately. Shovlin explained that under normal circumstances, teams allow drivers to adjust their car setups independently. When one driver finds an effective setup, elements of it are often transferred to the other car. However, during the sprint weekend, grip was much lower, and Hamilton's car kept snapping into oversteer on corner exits, creating extra tire temperature and worsening the problems. The conditions throughout the weekend also didn't help, making it harder for Hamilton to find a setup that suited him. Despite these challenges, the issues went far deeper than just weather or track conditions. Things took an even more dramatic turn when Hamilton dropped a cryptic message over team radio after the race. He hinted that this might have been his final outing for Mercedes, admitting it was a disaster of a weekend. During the cool-down lap, he thanked the crew for their hard work, expressing regret that if it was indeed his last race with the team, it ended on such a disappointing note. Naturally, comments like these set off alarm bells across the paddock. Hamilton's remarks suggested he was fed up not just with the car, but with the entire situation. He later added that he couldn't wait for his time with the W15 to end, clearly frustrated by the inconsistent and unpredictable behavior of the car from one week to the next. Yet despite the turmoil, Mercedes confirmed that Hamilton would remain with the team for the final 3 races of 2024, ensuring that no lineup changes would be made before his departure. Johnny Herbert, a former driver and current F1 pundit, also weighed in on the situation. Reflecting on Hamilton's performance, Herbert noted that the driver was clearly struggling to unlock the car's potential. There were flashes of Hamilton's raw speed, but they were often followed by long periods of frustration and confusion. Herbert also pointed out that George Russell was facing similar issues, but it was clear that Mercedes was now looking to the future with Russell. With Hamilton's departure on the horizon, the team's focus is shifting to Russell, as well as promising young driver Kimi Antonelli, who's lined up for the 2025 season. This transition marks a significant change for Mercedes, as they start preparing for the next era with a driver lineup that seems more suited to the future than the present. Meanwhile, the team has kept quiet about Hamilton's potential move to Ferrari. Although whispers about it have been circulating for months, Mercedes' reaction to Hamilton's departure was one of surprise, especially when the news started to leak out. After the Abu Dhabi finale, when Hamilton's future was still uncertain, Mercedes took steps to prevent his potential move to Ferrari. They argued that Hamilton had significant commitments with the team, both on and off the track. There were diplomatic reasons behind his stay, and Mercedes didn't want to lose their star driver just yet. But the writing seemed to be on the wall. As Hamilton's relationship with the team deteriorated, it became clear that the door to Ferrari was opening. The contract that Mercedes had signed with Hamilton only locked him in for 2024, leaving the door wide open for 2025 and beyond. Toto Wolff, Mercedes' team principal, admitted that they knew this day would come. They understood that a short-term contract left room for Hamilton to explore other options. Toto Wolff, although understanding of Hamilton's decision, admitted that he felt somewhat betrayed by the timing. The announcement of Hamilton's potential departure came just as other drivers such as Lando Norris and Charles Leclerc had already signed contract extensions with their respective teams. This left Mercedes with limited options, forcing them to push forward with promoting Kimi Antonelli, who, despite his lack of experience, is seen as the future of the team. Wolff compared the move to Red Bull's bold decision to promote Max Verstappen before he had even finished a full season in F1. However, unlike Red Bull's bet on Verstappen, Mercedes' confidence in Antonelli is still largely based on potential rather than proven results. The team is hoping that Antonelli can step up and deliver, but there's still uncertainty around whether George Russell will be as the 2024 season continues. It's becoming increasingly clear that Hamilton's time at Mercedes is nearing its end. The driver, who has been the face of the team for so many years, seems to be growing frustrated with the car and the direction the team is heading in. Mercedes, on the other hand, is preparing for a future without him, focusing on George Russell and the promising talents of Kimi Antonelli. This shift is bound to cause a major transformation within Mercedes, especially as the team gears up for the new regulations in 2026. While Hamilton's departure may feel like the end of an era, it's also the beginning of a new chapter for both the driver and the team. The question remains, will Hamilton's final days with Mercedes be filled with tension, or will they part ways on more amicable terms? Only time will tell if this move to Ferrari will prove to be the right one for Hamilton, or if he will regret leaving a team that has been home for so long. But for now, the focus is on the final few races of the 2024 season, and what Hamilton's future will look like after that.